Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to do another Train Sim World 4 video, and this time it's the Edinburgh to Glasgow route. We're going to use in free roam mode to get between Glasgow Queen Street, which we're at now, and Edinburgh, Waverley. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, first things first, let's shut the cab door. We'll pop the key in. Put that there. What I will do is restore the TPWS AWS. And get back in my seat. Oh, it's so annoying this. Okay. So back in the seat, we'll put the lights on. We'll put them in daytime mode, so it's full. And we will put the wipers on a little as well. 10 should be enough. Okay, so yes, so we're in Glasgow Queen Street. I need to set a route, so what I'll do is pop us on here and we'll be on our way. So we'll set the path and then we'll get a destination, which is all the way over here. It's actually not quite as far as it looks, it's just 30 or so miles, I believe. And pop it into one of these platforms here. That will do. Okay, so hopefully the path will be set. So we're going to go platform 17 and we have got a green light, which is good. So put it forward and off we go. So I've got a 5-car 800 from the East Coast mainline route. Seems an appropriate train to use on this route, as they tend to run to Edinburgh at least anyway. Also, this route is electrified by OLE, so it will work on here fine in free roam mode. I've set the weather so it's in early December, snowy, to give us a bit of a kind of a wintry feel about it, rather than all the dreadful rain that seems to be around at the moment. As I say, we're in free roam mode, but it's in via on foot, so it's in a timetabled mode at the moment, which means there are AI services running, which means that the results can often be a bit unexpected. So if it terminates early, or if we get stuck at a signal because there's other trains that are expecting to go into the same place as us, then that could well happen. But it does make for a bit of more of an interesting drive, because you're seeing the AI trains working as they would normally. I mean, you could create a route using Scenario Planner, but that's a bit more effort required there, because you need to manually put all the AI in. And in free roam normal mode, you don't get any AI trains at all. The whole train set is yours, if you like, which is fine if you just want to drive between A and B, but it can be a little bit soulless. Okay, so we're coming out the tunnel, up in a quite steep gradient. As I say, no guarantee we'll get to the end of this route. An earlier one I had a SPAD I recorded. I went back and played it again and found that was actually, I couldn't have got any further anyway. It was stuck at that point because it was training the platform that I wanted to get into, and it was trying to come out as I was trying to go in, so that was it, game over. So we're travelling in late afternoon, time's about 3:15, so we should get some nice sunset at some point, hopefully. Get a bit of speed up now, a little more. Let's look outside. So this is a relatively new route. when I say relatively, it's within the last year. And it's not a bad route. You've got a mixture of kind of fast, slow services, stoppers, if you like that sort of thing, and being able to run at high speed as well, if you like that. The route perhaps wasn't universally well received when it first came out. There were some problems that were flagged up, and some things that people didn't like. I think the stock train on this route is the 385, which is another Hitachi train, actually the same as the 800. And a lot of the stuff in here, all these panels and stuff, are used in that train, and it looks very familiar from that point of view. However, there was a lot of fuss about the sounds of the 385 not being right and being recycled from other trains and so on. So that was a bit of an issue. I mean, for me, it wasn't so much an issue because the sounds of trains, as long as they're close enough, I'm not too fussed. But I do appreciate that some people, for the sounds are very important, and that adds the realism for them. So for some people, the sounds weren't good enough. There was also a lot of mention about the cab noise, and I have to agree, the cab was really noisy. And so that was a bit distracting. I mean, in real life, cabs are noisier than they are in Train World. I mean, a lot of the cabs are almost silent, and they're not like that. Particularly on trains like the 385 and the 170. Sorry, I beg your pardon. The 377, 387s, the Electro Stars, where you have a gangway that goes through the driving compartments through this middle bit when they're coupled together. That makes it quite noisy. You have things that rattle and the wind howls through them and stuff like that because they're not completely airtight. So that does make them noisy. But I think the 385 was just a bit too noisy, actually, particularly as it's obviously a more modern train. But for me, the biggest problem with the 385 was the brakes. They just didn't seem to be working properly at all. The first up to about 50% didn't seem to do anything, and you'd end up just sliding through stations, which is obviously never a good thing. They did put an update on it, and that seemed to have resolved certainly some of the issues, not the sound, I don't think, but the braking issues was resolved. To my satisfaction. We're still not 100%, but they're much better than they were. There still are some other things with the routes. There's things like no AWS magnets when there should be for speed restrictions. Somebody coming towards points, for example, if you're getting crossed over, there should be a magnet to slow you down before you come to it. I played a route earlier on, which I set myself, going over some points, approaching it 100 miles an hour. It wasn't far from here, I don't think. Maybe that we just passed, and then all of a sudden there was a 40-mile-an-hour speed restriction for the point, and I had almost no time to bring the train speed down for that. So, and in real life, you'd have signals that would slow you down. So that was it, and some signage that wasn't correct and things. So niggles, really, just a little lack of attention to detail, which people understandably get annoyed about. But I think overall the route's fine. 385 as we speak. So that's the route. So, but I thought we'd try the aZuma. It's a nice train. I think I've said before that I drive these for a living. It's a very accurate layout. I cannot fault it at all. The only thing different to the ones I drive is that this isn't switched on. And just here, where that socket is and some other bits, there's additional safety systems, ATP, which fits here. So there's another kind of speedo, if you like, and some other LEDs. But otherwise, it's very good. It's a bit of a shame the PIS doesn't have more functionality, but it doesn't. But otherwise, I really like it. It's a nice train to drive on in Train Sim World. It's slowed down a little bit, otherwise we'll take power off. So let's see. There we go. It's quite nice, isn't it? It's good. Snow effects, not bad at all. Now I think there's a possibility we'll get. There was a train that left ahead of us on this line, but it's only 2 lines, so there's lots of trains sharing the same 2 lines. So we might get slowed down at some point, but hopefully not too much. I think the bug that was causing the East Coast main line to crash for some users, well, mainly PS5 users to be honest with you, has now been fixed. I've not tried it yet, but hopefully I'll give that a try later to see if it does actually work correctly. So I've never actually been on this route in real life. It's another one of my routes to travel on. The list that seems to just get longer every time I play Train Sim. Well, yeah, I must try this route, must try that route. Put it on my list. I think the first thing I need to do is actually create that list, and then I can work my way through it. At the moment, it's just me saying I need to put it on my list. This one, the up on the West Highland line, that's definitely on my list, and that'd be not quite a nice route to see on Train Sim World, to be honest with you. But and whether that will ever happen, it would certainly be lovely if it was. But I know there's lots of different routes that people want on there. Yeah, I've been on a few Scottish lines, but not this particular one between Edinburgh and Glasgow. I should really, because I don't think it's that long, to be honest with you. I think an hour in real life. Maybe that's maybe longer. I don't know. I think the routes on here are generally about an hour. I think I've looked. When I've looked. If you're traveling at 100, they don't tend to have many stops to fast services. Okay, we'll slow that a bit there. So we're getting green so far, which is good. I don't want to tempt fate. Some people have compared the Edinburgh-Glasgow route with the Cathcart Circle, but they aren't really the same at all in terms of the driving experience. This route, mainly you can get up to 100 miles an hour and there's big gaps between the stations, whereas in the Cathcart Circle, it's basically it feels like it's the Circle line from London Underground plonked in Glasgow, and just going round and round, almost. At slow speeds with lots of stops. I mean, you don't really get above 40 miles an hour for the best part, and the stations are all very close together, which is fine if you like that sort of thing. I don't mind that, but the driving it is a complete different thing. It's you need to be always watching for the next station because there's always the next station. Whereas on here you get long periods where there isn't one. A bit more freedom to go outside and look around, whereas if you do that on Cathcart, you probably miss your stop. There she goes. So I'm getting a bit of a sunset now, which is quite nice. A bit more power on to get us up to 100. I've done well so far, in the green, not caught up with anybody. So at some point, I'm probably going to should get dark, I guess, before we get to Edinburgh. I did actually set it at this time so we would get sort of dusk, which I think will be more atmospheric. Let's see what we've got on the map. See if there's anything in front of us whilst we're got a bit of quiet time. Coming for a station in a second, I believe. Seems like we're alright at the moment. It doesn't seem to have caught anything. Quite surprised. I thought there'd be more on here, but apparently not, it would seem. Back in the ding of the AWS. So the good news, at this time anyway, is that the it's finally a release date for the much anticipated Blackpool branch release, which is due out, I think, on in my head I'm thinking 14th or 15th of November, so less than 2 weeks away, which is great news. It seems to have been a long time coming, but looking at the screenshots and everything that we've seen so far from developers, it looks like it's going to be a really excellent route, and hopefully that'll be rewarded by them getting lots of sales for it, because that in turn will inspire them, encourage them to do more routes of a similar, similar quality. So fingers crossed for that, and a virtuous circle is formed. So what Trainsim World needs to spread out its more users is good quality routes, and that will make the difference between people buying it and not buying it, in my opinion. But it certainly looks a great route. I mean, I'm very into the BR era. For BR, I mean British Rail, for those, if anybody's watching doesn't know BR, of the 1970s, 1980s, the blue diesels and things like that. Yeah, it's kind of stuff that I think very atmospheric of a time, but I suppose it's because it reminds me of when I was slightly younger, and this would be the Pacers as well, which was I'm sure the people who, if you're watching this, you'll know, was basically a Leyland bus with bogies underneath it, and stuck on lines, rural commuter lines that otherwise might have actually gone out, might have been closed, but they were. I mean, the early ones are pretty dreadful, like sitting on a mobile trampoline. I've ridden on a few of them, but some of them were still in use until fairly recently, in the last few years. So their longevity was pretty amazing, considering they were only meant as a real stopgap. But the Pacers is kind of sort of much anticipated. So hopefully it's as good as we think it's going to be. But the route looks good. It looks really good, and so hopefully they'll do well in sales, and we'll get some more routes out of them. I'm still surprised I've not had any other trains in front of me. It must be a quiet time of the day on this route then. Can't see anything at all. We might get a run all the way to. I tried this route earlier on, and I had trains and it was slowing me down for bits and pieces, which actually I didn't mind, because it was quite a nice variance to the driving. But at the moment we seem to be on our own on this line. But who knows? A bit of a way to go yet, so we might we're about halfway, I think. Yeah, probably about halfway. So 20 miles to go. I don't know how long the route is. Probably must be about 40 miles, I suppose. go up to a 90 just up here, so we'll just take the power back. Let's do the business. Actually, we'll do get outside. Walk too close to the platform edge, please. Sun's going down now. The lights coming on the houses yet? No, not apparently. One of the things was also mentioned on this route actually was, but I think it's probably a bit of a criticism of some areas of train sim world, is that the terminus stations, the big stations, can seem really empty at times, and I tend to agree that that can be the case. I think there needs to be more hustle and bustle in some of these big stations. It's interesting though, on I think it's a Tees Valley, I can't remember which one it is, or Northern Transpenn, I don't know which one it is. You're in one of the stations, it might be Middlesbrough or another, maybe a big station, that you can hear lots of noise going on, which is quite good, sort of background ambient noise, but there's nobody there, so it kind of loses its feel. It feels like there's just somebody's playing a tape. I think a mixture of having enough people wandering around and also a good mixture of background noise of, you know, just people going about their business would be great. I think that's something that needs a little work on. I think once you get outside the cities and into the smaller stations, you're not going to have, unless it's rush hour, you're not going to have hundreds of people waiting on the platform. It's going to be a few. But in the big terminal stations, yeah, I think that getting the AI there to be more realistic would be a big step in getting that immersion that everybody craves in these games. Feel like you're really there, because the trains are great inside. You know, this is really good, really good. Oh, slow down a bit. To 100 in a moment. It's a bit more suburban here. It's good to see that the roads are well gritted though. No snow on those. Back up to 100 so we can put our foot down again. And have a look and see if there's anybody else on the line in front of us. I genuinely don't think there is. It's just, I don't know if it's just cleared out everybody because it knew we were coming. Previous experience of these routes, when you've got an AI, that's you can get problems. So 15 miles away. Oh, careful, here we go again. Me for the sack. This should be a loaded car, this one. Let's have a look down. Yeah, the lights are on and Lots of identikit people in there. Doesn't seem to be any at table service though on the trolley. Okay, where are we now? I'm not sure. It'd been quite nice to get some restrictives following another train, because it does happen from time to time. So I previously ran this route and I got stuck behind the train almost all the way to Edinburgh, which was a little bit annoying, but some good practice driving behind another train and trying to keep your distance and the speed at the right level. I don't think we're going to get anything this time. 12 miles to go. I don't think we're going to see any major disruption now. Back to another 90. Into the distance. And the tunnel. It'd be quite a nice route to do in real life if in one of these trains. I did want to say actually, this is I'm not sure if I mentioned at the beginning or not, but this is a 5-car set, because a 9-car wouldn't fit in any of the platforms in Glasgow. I'm not sure if that's the case in real life or not, but I couldn't get it to spawn a 9-car, so hence the 5-car, which is fine, but a little bit strange. I'm sure they must have similar length trains running out of Glasgow, but maybe they don't. £80-mile-an-hour limit now for a short while. Again, for those sorts of speeds where it's 100 down to 80 or 90 to 100, so 100 to 90, there'll be no AWS warning. There should be a warning board for it, mostly, not all the time, but there normally would be a warning board to say that there's speed change coming up. Let's go out slightly, see. There we go. It's quite nice. Looks good. So we've got just under 9 miles to go. Okay, we can put the power back on now. These trains are very responsive in electric mode. You do feel them pick up, unless there's a fault with one of the motor units, but otherwise they're pretty good. Also, we have very quick trains. For those of you who might live in sort of southeast, who know the Elizabeth line that runs under bits of London, well, actually based Shenfield in Essex all the way down to Reading, but the middle bit runs through central London. They're amazingly quick little trains. Well, I don't think we're going to get there before the sun goes down. Oh, hang on. Our first double yellow of the day. It's too soon to be Edinburgh, I think. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be a train ahead of us. So what we'll try and do, we're sliding a bit there, what we'll try and do is get down to around about 40 miles an hour for the single yellow if we can. Or thereabouts, to make sure that we don't go hurtling through it and then find that the red is just around the corner and not being able to stop in time. So this looks like a single yellow ahead here, is it? Yeah, it is. So we'll bring the speed right down. So I don't know where the next signal is, so if we're going too fast and we see it too late, we won't stop, and that will be annoying. But hopefully we keep this speed. Well, I won't expect it to. It might give a chance for the signal to step up. If it doesn't, I've got enough time to put the brake in. And I think I've said this before in other videos that I've done. If you haven't already, then do try running services with the safety systems enabled. It's really worthwhile. It'll help you work with the signals, but it'll also give you a more realistic experience. You know, these safety signals are on for a reason. Safety systems are turned on for a reason in real life, obviously. So you wouldn't want them on the train, really. I'd rather have the HUD working than HUD-less and have the safety systems on. It's just a better experience. But yeah. So if I forget if I go past this signal and it's gone, forget what the last signal was, I can look down at my sunflower here and I think, oh, actually, it was restrictive. It might not have been, but I mean, it would make me think it could have been a speed change. But I know that something's gone on before, and I need to do something about it. So that something about it is going to be reduce my speed. And drivers are taught all about risk trigger commentary, and that's you verbalise a risk. So if I'm approaching a single yellow or a double yellow or a red, I will say out loud, single yellow, double yellow, red ahead, and that's to make me think about the risk, and then I need to do something about the risk. So that might be firstly cancel the AWS button, and then apply the brakes. You see a risk, then you do something about the risk. So we've got greens again at the moment. So wherever it was has gone. Or when I say gone, we've got ahead of us. I know there's some branches off this route at various places out here and there. So it's always possible someone's gone somewhere else. I haven't explored those. That's the good thing about the free roam. If you did the free roam you know, especially when there's no, if you just want it in where there's no AI services, you can plot routes that would be awkward to do in timetable mode, and you can just go to these places that you can't normally. Although I have found out that even though that some of these places are on here, for example, that you might not be able to go on it all the way. You might get to a point where it says you can't go any further. So I have found that out on East Coast Main Line, where I was trying to start a train from the sidings, but I couldn't because it wouldn't let me go all the way into the sidings. So anyway, okay, so we've got 2 miles out now. Actually just under 3. As you come into Edinburgh, there is a neutral section. I'll keep an eye out for the. Is that it's gone? I don't know. There is a new. Oh, there is. Oh, there's a warning board. I had you before. There was no warning board. So what we do now is take the power off. Hopefully, down here we should see these lights go off and on. I don't know whether they will, to be honest. Don't think they do. So normally you just have the line light on, and the VCB light would be off. We've got a 40 coming up as well. Single yellow, so I better slow down a bit quicker because there's going to be a red round the corner. I hope we're going to get all the way in the station. I have a feeling I might not. I had an issue here earlier on. Okay, the signal stepped up. When you go into these sort of areas in towards main stations, you find the signal sections are very short. So when you see a signal change, you need to act very quickly, otherwise before you know it, you're on the next signal. I've got a red ahead. I'm hoping I can get into the station. I really do. Is that my signal there? Please don't stick me in the tunnel. Oh, no, it stepped up. Excellent. I thought it was going to end my service and get stuck in a tunnel, which would really be annoying. So there's obviously something ahead of us, perhaps going into the platforms, but we'll keep it at this speed. We don't need to go any faster. And in fact, we're coming down to a 20 in a moment anyway. So there we go. Keep it below 20. Here we come into Edinburgh. Waverley, platform 17. Hopefully we'll get all the way in. Oh, we've got a green. Okay, that's good. I'm guessing that means we're all the way in. So we're crossing over here. This is where I had a spad earlier on when I played this route. Because I wasn't paying attention, but it also gave me a strange indication. But I think when I reran it, I actually couldn't get in the platform which is occupied. So we're still at 20. So you can see we've got no AWS. So if I've forgotten by now what my last signal was, I can look back now. Well, it wasn't restrictive. Platform 17 is our route in. No, I shouldn't really do this. Gosh, I could be able to do it. Don't do this when you're approaching the platform end, otherwise you're likely to get distracted and crash into the buffer stops. Right, there we go. So look outside, open the doors, and here we are in Edinburgh, Waverley. A few other services going on. There's some people here. It's actually looking a bit busier. Again, the gate lines look a bit empty. So beyond there, you'd like to see the doors open, some lights on, and things like that. I mean, all this stuff is great. Micro cow farm, Scottish code. Okay. Anyway, so that completes this video. I hope you enjoyed our trip across Scotland from Glasgow to Edinburgh. Please leave any comments below if you have any, and subscribe if you would like to see any more videos and get notifications when I've uploaded them. And any requests that you might want, routes or anything else. Anyway, once again, thanks very much. Have a nice day and see you again soon.